Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be reviewing another book. I'm going to be reviewing Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw. Okay, I'll turn a light on. Ta-da! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing another book. I wanted it to be a little spooky because the book itself is a little spooky, but before we get to that, I just want to say thanks for watching and indulging in me wanting to try new things. And I know that my last book review was a little chaotic, and honestly this review is probably going to be a little chaotic, and I feel like maybe from here on out they might be, because that's just how my brain works. And I don't want to think too hard about it. I don't know how to not be me, so I'm just gonna be me. Okay. Anyway, so like I said, I read Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw. I've never read anything by Shea Earnshaw, so this is another first for me. But I am so excited to read the other book that she's written. The book she wrote before this, they're not connected, so it's not like I read them out of order, but this is just the one that's like currently in bookstores. And the reason I'm excited to read her other book is because I freaking loved this book. This so far, I mean, I've only read 5 books so far this year, but so far this is my favorite book of the year. I initially was drawn to the book cover, which you will probably hear me say a lot when it comes to books that I talk about, because I really love design. The aesthetic of a book I'm really drawn to, and this one's so cool, especially in like this glimmery lighting. It's just perfect. It's like the moon is shining. So I love the moons, I love the branches, but I loved this book. And I even posted on Instagram, I left a comment on one of Shea's most recent posts saying that I just finished the book and it was so magical, and I haven't stopped thinking about it, which is true, because I technically read this book like 3 weeks ago, towards the beginning of January. It was the second book I read, and it's now January 16th, so I'm a little behind on my reviews, because it takes time to review stuff. None of you care about this, I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, so I left her a comment just saying that, just wanting her to know, and she commented back. She was like, thanks so much for saying that. I was like, cool. I feel even more connected to this book now. I mean, not really. Not everyone has to. Though I will say that Bina Shah, the author of the last book that I did a review on, Before She Sleeps, she liked my post about Before She Sleeps. Okay, so anyway, back to the book. I was walking around Barnes & Noble, and I actually came across this book before I came across Before She Sleeps, and I was immediately drawn to the cover. I was immediately drawn to what it, the inside cover. The story sounded great. It sounded like it was right up my alley as being something about like witches and the woods and a girl. I was just like all about it immediately. But then I came across the Bina Shah book, the one I did the review on last, and something told me to read that first. So that's the one that I read first, but I kept thinking about this book. I was like, I have to go back and get this book. So when I finished Before She Sleeps, I went out and got this, and I didn't actually get this at Barnes & Noble. I got this at Changing Hands. I don't know, do you guys have Changing Hands outside of Arizona, or is that just an Arizona thing? I don't know. Anyway, it's another book store that we have, and I got this and started reading it, and I immediately fell in love with it. So the protagonist, her name is Nora Walker. She comes from a long line of witches. She's a witch, her mom's a witch, her grandma's a witch, her aunts are witches, her grandmother's grandmother, they're all witches, and each of them have a unique and special magical ability of some sort. And some of them know as children what these abilities are, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And of course, Nora, our main character, it takes her a little bit longer to figure out what her magical ability is. And we don't actually know right off the bat in the book. It's a bit of a mystery, and we get to like kind of find out what it is along with her. And that's fun, that's exciting, and I really liked that aspect. Now I will say that something does happen early on in the book. See, this is the thing. I was like, do I just want to spoil it? I don't think I'm going to do spoilers. I think I'm going to try and be vague in general. Something happens early on in the book with another character, and at first, like, what happens between them, I was like, oh, I think I know what her magical ability is going to be. And then by the end of the book, with the conclusion of the book and finding out what her ability is, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually have a question, and I don't know the answer to it, because her ability is very clearly one other thing, but something happens that makes me think that she actually has two abilities that isn't really confirmed in the book, unless I missed it, may have missed it. Interesting. So if you've read this book, or if you decide to read this book, seriously hit me up so we can talk about this, because what happens with Oliver at the very beginning when she finds him in the forest, I thought her magic ability, I'm trying to be general, I really thought her magical ability was like what that first interaction is. But we find out at the end, after the conclusion, after everything that happens, that it's something else. So now I'm wondering, does she actually have two? That's kind of exciting. Now that I'm thinking about it, I like that. The book takes you on a bit of an adventure along with some other teenagers. You get to know like a ragtag team of teenage boys who you're like, ugh, teenage boys, but you also get to know them. They're kind of funny sometimes. The way that she writes them, you can just picture them perfectly, and you will never get a you will never get a reindeer Christmas sweater out of your head again. It was interesting because the first book that I read this year, or the first book that I did a review on this year, The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek, dealt with a school for wayward children. And then this book talks about wayward children, a school for wayward children. So that's an interesting theme to show up twice now in these two books. There's also a bit of like a murder mystery. Like there's a murder and you're just like, who did it? You're trying to figure out who's lying, who's being truthful. And there's a lot of twists and turns within that as well. And you're just along for the story, and it's so well written. The thing I really wanted to talk about with this book is that it's so beautifully written. It's so poetic. Like, the way that she writes is just like a novel full of poetry. People struggle with poetry because it doesn't make the easiest sense to a lot of people, which I totally get. And so I don't want you to think that this book is like that, but the way that it's written is so like flowy and beautiful, and the images that she creates with her words, it's magical. It's so magical. I really love the way that this is written. So to compare it to my last book, Before She Sleeps by Bina Shah, like her writing fit perfectly with the story. Like I said, it was very sterile. It was very like straightforward, to the point. This is like the opposite of that, you know, like this is like warm and cozy, the writing, but it also has the ability to make you feel cold. Bad analogy. Let's think of something else. It's like the way you picture tree branches like this. Like it's just all like intertwined and poetic, beautiful. I know I've said that already, but it just fits the story so well. So Bina Shah, great writer. Shay Earnshaw, interesting, they have similar names. Incredible writer. Both are really great writers. Much respect for them. I can't wait to read her other book, which also takes place in woods, I think. I think she's got kind of a thing for woods, but I'm here for it because she's got this amazing talent of just transporting you into another world. But you get to tag along on this magical adventure of these kids. and you really feel the confinement and the like claustrophobia and almost like the hysteria of being trapped somewhere because of a blizzard. Is it a blizzard or a snowstorm? Is there a difference between a blizzard and a snowstorm? Is that something that I should know? I'm a desert baby. I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona my whole life. We don't get snow, though we did get snow last winter. Like 20 minutes north of where I live, we got snow. I made a vlog on it. You can go watch. That was pretty crazy because that was just literally up the street, 20 minutes. And that's never happened, that amount of snow. Okay, anyway, tangent, sorry, but is there a difference between snowstorm and blizzard? I should look that up. Hold on, I have to look that up. Okay, so there is a difference between a snowstorm and a blizzard, and this is just according to the United States, the National Weather Service, so I don't know what it is outside of the US. But the difference between a blizzard and a snowstorm is the strength of wind, not the amount of snow. And a blizzard is technically more severe than a snowstorm because it has stronger winds, so it like blows the snow around, which makes it really hard to see. So, I don't know. I think she describes it as a snowstorm. Not that it really matters, but my brain, it just had to know what the difference between the two were. I'm sorry, this is just how I am. What was I even talking about? Snowstorm, blizzard. Oh yeah, the snowstorm that blows through and closes the road. It cuts the power off. It just keeps them feeling trapped, even though the boys are already trapped at the school and Nora doesn't really stray too far from home. She just does a really good job of making you feel like you're trapped in the woods too. I also felt really cold reading this book. I don't know if it's just because it's winter right now and I'm generally cold. We don't turn the heat on in our house. But I was just like chilly, and I wonder if I read this when it's 110 degrees outside, if it would have the same effect. Either way, loved it. So the climax of the story, I was really worried about because something extreme and major happens, and I was like, no, please, no. And I'm not going to spoil it. Something really interesting happens. How do people talk about books? I don't know. Okay, so side note with these reviews, I've never done this before. I don't know really. I'm still feeling it out. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I like and how I like to talk about books. So it's probably going to take a while for me to really feel comfortable and for me to really figure it out. So just shout out to any of you that actually watch these and don't find me incredibly annoying. But some people like to watch things that are incredibly annoying. I don't get it, but at the same time you do you, that's fine. The climax of the book, there's like right in the middle of the action and the adventure, there's like some danger that happens. Some people get hurt, some worse. And the whole time you're like, where are the adults? Like, who's taking care of these kids? Granted, they're teenagers, but still, where are the adults in this book? Because they're all kind of just like left to their devices. Apparently the counselors of the boys' school don't really care, and they just like let the guys do whatever they want. And then Nora's mom is out of town on like a business thing. So it kind of gives permission to just take the story and just have these kids be out at all hours of the night and go into the deep dark woods. Even though it's not a full moon, you're only supposed to go out into those woods when it's a full moon, when the forest is asleep, because otherwise, if you wake the forest up, the forest is going to do its best to get rid of you. And I'm not joking, like, the way she writes the forest is its own character in this book. It's really cool. It's so cool. Okay, obviously, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, as of right now, out of the 5 books that I've read this year, this is my favorite book. I'm really interested to see if that changes. I mean, the year is yet to be had. We've still got lots of time, lots of books to read. Do I recommend this book? Yes. I recommend it if you enjoy reading young adult novels, don't mind reading about teenagers because the main characters are teenagers, and if you like magical and witchy stuff, because there's a lot of that in here, which I really enjoy myself. Would I read this again? Yes. I will probably reread this in the summertime, like I said, just to see if it still gives me the same kind of chilly effect that it did this time. And I really want to reread it. It's definitely on my to-read list because I feel like I will get even more enjoyment out of it and like pick up clues and stuff now that I know like what the big surprise is, the different twists are. What else? 26 minutes. I've been talking 26 minutes about this book. Okay. That was a really fast 26 minutes. How did that even happen? What did I even talk about? Oh, we've got to do the bibliomancy. Okay, so if you're new, if you've never watched a video of mine, what I do is this thing called bibliomancy, which actually fits perfectly well with this book. So I flip through the book, not really looking, and whatever passage I land on is the message for us. Okay, so let's do here and over here. Okay. Knots bind together inside my stomach, and I crane my head up to the night sky, clouds sailing away. The moon a deflated half circle, not full. Not safe to venture into these dark, vengeful woods. I blow out a breath and whisper the words I've said so many times before, hoping they will protect me, hoping the woods will remember me and let me pass unharmed. I am Nora Walker, I say softly so the boys won't hear, and then I repeat it twice more, for good measure, for luck. But I sense it might be too late for that. Walker or not, perhaps none of us will survive the night. So I stiffen my arms at my sides and take a step past the threshold into the Wicker Woods. Dun dun dun! See, I already want to reread it. I love this book. I love this book. Okay, guys, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed another rambly review from me, because apparently that's just the way my brain works. And they'll probably keep being rambly because that's just what goes on inside my head. Goes on inside my head. Thank you. I hope you guys are doing well. Okay, let me think. So, do I have another? I do have another book review coming up before the end of the month. And then the beginning of February, I will have a book haul video that I'm going to be posting of all the books I got in December and January. And then from then on, I'm going to try and do a monthly book haul where I talk about and show you the books I got during the previous month. But I want to combine December and January. So those are some things to look forward to, hopefully. Yeah, if you've read this, please let me know so we can talk about this. I need to find someone who has read this because I want to talk about it. Like with someone who knows what I'm talking about. That's it. Okay, bye guys!